Hello everyone, this is CRH Films, and this is the Beekeeper movie. A former agent of a top-secret organization is forced to recall everything he was taught to restore order in the US government system. The film begins in a hangar where the storm of all movie monsters and villains, Jason Statham, enters. The main character, beekeeper Adam Clay, comes to deal with a beehive at the request of Mrs. Parker, the owner of the farm where he resides. She invites the beekeeper for tea as a gesture of gratitude. Using a neon lamp and a stun gun, Adam deals with the hive. Later, the beekeeper goes to the apiary to service the hives. Meanwhile, Mrs. Parker receives a message on her computer claiming it is infected with a virus. To save all data, she needs to call the specified number, which she does. Mickey answers the phone, posing as a security service employee. He alarms Mrs. Parker with words about her data disappearing without a trace. To prevent this, she needs to install a new antivirus. The bewildered woman follows all instructions without suspecting anything. With the help of the program, they obtain all information about her. The elderly woman has $2 million in her account. As an apology for the inconvenience, Mickey transfers compensation to her account. Instead of $500, he transfers $50,000. Using emotional manipulation, he convinces Mrs. Parker to return the excess money. After checking the balance, Mrs. Parker enters the password to complete the transaction, but hackers intercept it. Immediately after, the woman's computer shuts down, and all the money is transferred to the scammer's account. In a minute, she sees that all accounts have complete zeros. Meanwhile, Adam fills a jar with honey and goes to Mrs. Parker's for tea. He knocks on the door, but no one answers. Hearing the sound of a fire alarm, he enters. Adam disables the alarm, takes a knife, and starts inspecting the house. In the adjacent room, he notices a gun, a shell, and a few drops of blood. Suddenly, a woman with a gun appears from behind, Mrs. Parker's daughter and, on top of that, FBI agent, Verona Parker. She arrests Adam, who expresses condolences during the process. Mrs. Parker shoots herself in the head. Later, emergency services arrive. Verona accuses Adam of murder, but he claims to have brought honey to the bank. The man is arrested, and Verona goes to inspect the area. In the house, she finds a laptop with a zero balance. The next day, Adam is released due to lack of evidence connecting him to Mrs. Parker's death. Soon, Verona comes to the hangar to apologize for the inconvenience. She offers him a drink, even though Adam doesn't drink but agrees to keep her company. During the conversation, it is revealed that the scammers stole money not from her mother but from a charitable foundation where Mrs. Parker was the director. Verona explains that they have been searching for them for 2 years with no results. Even if they find them, proving guilt is almost impossible. Adam goes to the apiary, where he retrieves a satellite phone from a hive. He calls his former colleagues asking them to find the same scammers, warning that even the FBI couldn't do it. Later, the woman calls Adam. The scammers have indeed hidden well, but she has managed to obtain the office address. Taking gasoline canisters with him, Adam sets out to restore justice. At the beekeeper's entrance, 2 security guards greet him, advising him to return to the village he came from. Unable to tolerate such rudeness, Adam explains that it's not worth talking to him that way. Due to overly detailed explanations, the guards lose consciousness slightly. Carrying the gasoline containers, Adam enters the building. He asks the secretary where exactly the needed office is and recommends evacuating the rest of the employees. It will soon get too hot in the building. Going up to the office, Adam delivers a fiery speech, urging the workers to reconsider and stop robbing the population. For better assimilation of information, he points to one of the workers, demonstrating what will happen to all of them if they don't stop. After that, he begins to spread the flammable mixture everywhere. During the process, Mickey approaches him with the guards. He orders them to throw the troublemaker out of the building. Despite the numerical advantage, Adam easily defeats them. Since Megalodon couldn't handle him, ordinary guards stand no chance. Adam explains to Mickey what he is doing wrong in life, then goes to set up bombs. They will explode as soon as the next victim calls. Before Adam can leave, the detonator explodes, leaving only ruins behind. Mickey reports the incident to the management, Derek Danforth. The company's head seeks help from Wallace Westfield, former CIA director who currently heads the security service of Danforth Enterprises. The man asks Derek not to involve him in his problems. Derek orders Mickey to find the culprit on his own, checking the company's recent clients. Perhaps there will be some connection among them. After that, taking a few big guys with him, he intends to explain to the man that he made the worst mistake of his life. Later, the four Avengers arrive at Mrs. Parker's farm, where they notice a man who looks very much like the office saboteur. They shoot the guards, then head to the beekeeper's hangar, where they destroy all the harvest supplies, unaware that Adam is tracking them. The beekeeper grabs one, practicing a chokehold. He breaks the neck of another. In the third, he beats with a torn-off shotgun barrel. In panic, Mickey starts shooting chaotically, but none of the bullets find their target. As a preventive measure, Adam, using a lathe, cuts off the fingers of the guy, then leaves the hangar. Meanwhile, Verona, who spent the whole night drinking in sorrow, receives a call from her partner. He calls her to the crime scene. The scammer's office has been blown up. Later, they go to Verona's mother's farm, where several bodies were found. After reviewing the evidence, they realize that these two cases are connected. Meanwhile, Mickey calls Derek and tells him about the beekeeper. Suddenly, Adam attacks Mickey, ties him to a car, and throws him off a bridge. Afterward, Adam takes the receiver and informs Derek that he'd better start writing his will. After the conversation, Derek goes to Westfield. The man tells him that he resigned from the CIA director position at the request of Derek's mother to protect the boy and the company's reputation. But if the beekeeper started hunting, Derek can't be saved anymore. The beekeepers are top-notch fighters of a secret organization. Later, Jessica Danforth calls Westfield to discuss her son's problems. After that, he calls the current CIA director. During the conversation, it turns out that Adam Clay hasn't been working for many years. As a sign of respect, the director sends the beekeeper to deal with Adam. In the evening, a pickup truck crashes into Adam's car. The beekeeper girl, armed with an automatic weapon, administers a dose of lead to Adam, and later, to the police who arrived at the sound of gunfire. Taking advantage of the moment, Adam attacks. He easily overcomes the agent without feeling any resistance. But the girl manages to reach the trunk, where a machine gun is hidden. Throwing a jar of honey calms her down a bit. Adam throws a lighter into the trunk, implying that the girl failed to complete the task. He picks up a knife and cuts off the former beekeeper's finger. Adam borrows a car from a client and leaves the crime scene moments before the explosion. Later, the CIA director calls Westfield to report the mission failure and that other beekeepers will no longer interfere with their former colleague. Verona and her partner arrive at a gas station, where among the bodies and burned cars, they find the beekeeper's manual. Thanks to the analytical mind, colleagues understand that Adam's next stop is Boston. Meanwhile, Adam reaches his colleague's hideout. Using the finger, he manages to get inside, where the man replenishes his supply of lethal gear. Westfield assembles a team of mercenaries and explains the essence of the job. He tells them that beekeepers are such a top-secret project that even the CIA director is not always briefed on. Beekeepers are not subordinate to anyone and always act on their own discretion. Their only task is to monitor the hive, and if the queen produces sick offspring, the bees rebel and kill her. Most likely, Adam found a queen somewhere in the upper echelons of the government, endangering the entire hive with her actions. Later, agents meet with the deputy director of the FBI, Prigg. Verona acquaints the man with all the evidence found during the investigation and asks for support to successfully complete the mission. Prigg doesn't believe in the existence of the top-secret beekeeper organization, but still allocates additional agents. The Special Forces team arrives at the office building, 9-star. Inside, they encounter not very hospitable mercenaries. After a verbal argument, the men decide that the agents will control the external perimeter, and the mercenaries will control the situation inside. While the commander issues orders to subordinates, Adam, without any disguise, approaches the fighters and recommends calling the firefighters and getting out of there. Understanding that the soldiers won't listen to him, Adam is forced to use his fists to explain that it's better not to hinder his way. Taking a prisoner with him, Adam enters the building. Meanwhile, in the office, it's the busiest time of the day. Mercenaries order everyone to leave the building, but the office director calls Derek to order the fighters not to interfere with looting citizens. After that, the mercenaries leave the building to the enthusiastic applause of the employees, not noticing that Adam is already inside. He declares a one-time amnesty. Whoever leaves the building without objections will survive. But suddenly, the mercenaries return and generously treat the beekeeper with lead. However, bullets don't affect Statham. Using all his skills and experience, he skillfully deals with the fighters. Later, it's the leader's turn. After a brief skirmish, Adam sends the man to the creator. Verona arrives at the building, and the FBI begins to storm. Adam prepares for the arrival of guests and sets traps. In the last moment, he manages to hide in the elevator shaft. The fighters start shooting but miss. Adam attaches an explosive to the cable, and the elevator goes down. Those who manage to escape find the previously stretched cables pulling them back. Dealing with the unwanted guests, the beekeeper heads to the director. He tries to talk to the man in every possible way, and it leads to a positive result. Adam learns that the leader of the scammers is Derek Danforth. On the way back, Adam encounters Verona. The agent offers the beekeeper to surrender, but Adam shows the officer that he is used to finishing what he starts. After inspecting the office, the FBI understands who the next target of the beekeeper is. Later, Westfield learns that Adam has escaped again. He informs Jessica Danforth, who happens to be the acting president of the United States. Verona and her partner report to Prig about 2 companies using CIA software for their fraudulent schemes. They also sponsored Jessica Danforth's election campaign. After the elections, Derek took over the company instead of Jessica. Most likely, the beekeeper will eliminate the queen and the defective offspring. Prig orders to keep this information secret and provides unlimited resources for the operation. Derek and Westfield arrive at the Danforth mansion, where a party is about to begin. Later, Verona and her partner also arrive. Secret Service is responsible for the event's security, but Westfield understands that the beekeeper won't be stopped. Because of this, he recruits another group of mercenaries led by Lazarus. During the previous meeting with the beekeeper, the man lost a leg. Later, Jessica arrives on a helicopter. Despite the critical situation, Derek remains unfazed. He smokes and sniffs illegal substances. Security checks all the arriving equipment, and the beekeeper infiltrates through the sewage system. Unnoticed, he climbs out of the manhole and grabs the bottom of a truck. Adam disables the checker and comes out from under the car. As security doesn't notice any changes, Adam walks freely on the premises. He places an explosive in the car, changes into a suit, and heads into the house to find the sick offspring. Verona notices the conversation between Prig and Jessica, so she thinks they are conspiring. Later, the trio gathers in the office to discuss Derek's illegal activities. Verona notices Adam, and the hunt begins. Officers stop a man, but he is not the one they need. Meanwhile, Adam is already on the street. Mercenaries and the FBI chase the man, unaware that the beekeeper is leading them into a trap. Lazarus wants to kill the agent, but Verona stops him. In a moment, Adam activates the explosive. Taking advantage of the moment, Adam attacks, neutralizing all the mercenaries. However, Lazarus is lucky, the injury is not fatal. Adam runs back into the house, eliminating everyone who offers the slightest resistance. Also, he fires into the air to create panic among unprepared visitors. In the house, he encounters special forces, but even trained soldiers cannot resist the beekeeper. Later, right before the final showdown, Lazarus attacks him. Despite his injuries, the mercenary manages to engage in a fair duel. He even succeeds in injuring the beekeeper with a knife. However, due to the beekeeper's skill, Adam emerges victorious from this confrontation. With a precise strike, he disables the prosthetic and delivers the final blows to the fighter. Meanwhile, a verbal altercation ensues between Derek and Jessica. It turns out she was unaware of her son's activities and the specific funding sources for the election campaign. She is willing to reveal the entire truth to the beekeeper and the public, even if it means resigning from the presidency. Applying a tourniquet to his arm and placing an explosive device on the door, Adam hears Westfield. The man pleads with the beekeeper to stop and start life anew. However, Adam desires to restore justice, so he breaks Westfield's finger and continues forward. The dispute between mother and son continues. Derek realizes he doesn't want to die, so he takes a revolver and shoots Prig. At that moment, an explosion occurs. Through the smoke, Adam enters the room and sees Derek holding his own mother hostage. The FBI bursts into the room as well. Verona asks the beekeeper to surrender. Adam states that Derek won't be held accountable for Verona's mother's death. He shoots Derek directly in the head and chooses the window as his escape route. Verona aims at the man but can't bring herself to shoot. They exchange glances, after which Adam escapes. He reaches the shore, where he had previously hidden a diving suit. the beekeeper changes clothes and presumably sets off to hunt the megalodon. And with that, the movie concludes.